Hopefully I'm live right now. I always have issues with YouTube streaming and I am trying to get over it. It's the Awkward GM and I'm trying something new with this background remover app thing that is going to make my face go crazy like this. In any case, Awkward GM here, Corbin. I am doing my second week in a row of campaign planning for a Curseborne game when that comes out. Hopefully soon-ish. I always wish, and it's going to come out when it comes out. That's just how Onyx Path does things. I have no insider information about the game. All the information I glean is either from this compiled manuscript, which I purchased as part of the Kickstarter, or is from the Discord group that you can join at the Onyx Path Discord. And some stuff in the background is not going too great, so I am just making sure that I have the data going on. And I'm sharing my stream on the various socials because otherwise people aren't going to know I'm doing this stuff, which always sucks. Curseborne planning, campaign planning. Put it here and put it on the various other places that people go. There is a Many Worlds of Darkness Discord group where there's a Curseborne section. There is also Trinity Continuum, though people... There is a lot of crossover between the various Onyx Path game lines, I find, with the fan base. We've got like Trinity Continuum, Scion, and They Came From, and everyone usually like enjoys all the games to some extent. Some people I find will like gravitate towards one over the others just because you prefer a specific theme than the other ones. For me, instance, I'm not much of a fantasy person, so I wasn't really gravitating towards The World Below. I am still going to check it out. I have the PDF and I have watched it a little bit, but I've not watched it. I've read through it a little bit, but I'm always like a little bit hesitant with fantasy. And then At the Gates came out for Backer Kit not too long ago, and that one really sold me on a fantasy RPG for the first time since Dark Sun 5e. So I'm Dark Sun 4e rather. So I'm happy with that. Okay, it looks like we've got a couple of people in here, so let's continue on to what we were planning last time with our campaign. We have here the Curseborne campaign Bible, I would say. This was originally like where I'm like listing out the various things. I stole this from Chris Perkins in I think it was like a Dragon magazine article between 4th edition and 5th edition D&D. Essentially, we have here the overall summary of the setting. Hey, Vodoon! Hope you're having a great evening wherever you are. Currently, it's 4 p.m. where I am in the East Coast of the United States. But if you are watching and you're from somewhere else, I am very thankful. We have the leadership, the major points, just some stuff to keep everything going. Last where we left off, we were going through the various different factions. We had the Furies, who are the dead lineage of the dead Fury family. We have them as Boston Red Sox supporters. We also have the Hungry, where we have House of Bathory as the leaders. We have the Lady of Boston as their leader, and of course, a theater that is going to be their territory. You're in Newark, UK. Awesome. I actually grew up not too far from Newark, New Jersey. Small world. Except not really a small world because they have aside from the name, they probably have nothing in common. In any case, awesome. We have the Outcasts, Munificence. We did a little thing where they own their own sort of casino branch. We have it as a party, like a casino boat thing. Makes sense in the context of the United States and Boston in particular. I think they just put up a casino somewhere in Everett. I think someone last stream mentioned that, which is funny because we don't really. Gambling was such a big deal in the United States for quite a while, and I think there was like a Supreme Court case that opened it up. I do follow Supreme Court cases a lot because I'm just sort of like a legal nerd in that sense. But it's like as soon as there was like a sports betting thing that went through, now we have all these advertisements everywhere for like various sports betting apps, which I'm not a fan of. We have the Primals, 8 hands. I created Marcus Small, a tech bro who runs a social media company. Marcus Smalls is actually the name of a character I've used before in Demon the Descent, but I like having. Sometimes I like reusing names for characters. We have the Hides. They run a clinic. And then we have the Faceless, where they basically are very off the grid type people. We have various landmarks and liminal spaces that we're probably going to flesh out once we get further along. We did the sorcerers, archivists. There are a lot of private libraries in Boston. The Athenaeum is probably one of the more famous ones. I really like that as someplace that the archivists would. Let's put it up here. Athenaeum is one of the oldest independent libraries of the United States. It's also one of the number of membership libraries. Blah blah blah. I just want like, what is it? What is its cultural significance in like a quippy sentence? Yeah, weird. It's interesting what these like landmark buildings are. I've visited a bunch of them, and it always feels like it's a museum. It's not. What function it may have had is sort of superseded by you are now museum. Athenaeum HQ, and of course, whoever is the leader is going to be the head librarian. And this is where archivists, if we look at the lore of Curseborne going into the PDF I have here, and I hope you're all seeing this, it's go down here to the archivists. Oh, why did I do that? That's going to shift the screen. Okay. They're all about knowledge of sacrifice. Some knowledge is sacrificed to be removed from reality. Other knowledge is sacrificed to basically be exposed to the rest of the world. We have a few things here like play an archivist if you want to seek out forbidden knowledge, no matter the cost, hold terrible secrets only you can know, and discover the vast hoard of knowledge that your family is keeping from you. There's some stuff in here like others call us librarians, spies, bookworms. I like being called a librarian. Family, collectively, we are the archivists. Individuals are my cousins, brothers, sisters, uncles. We teach magic that helps gather, keep, find information. We pry secrets from the dark and forgotten places of the world to learn as much as we can about the small, hidden, and presumably lost civilization. And we travel to outsides to learn new things. Our magic facilitates our travel and our practices. I remember having an archivist player who was very into portaling around. Archivist probably is going to be the one that's going to be the main driving force in my setting. Maybe when the StoryPath Nexus community content is allowed to go live, I might put this out as a PDF or something of like an overview for my campaign setting. I'm not much of a I like writing, but I'm not much of a writer in that I actually and I magically wore this shirt today, and let's see if I can get it in the Zoom here. I did National Novel Writing Month back in 2016, and I did pass it. I did succeed on it, but it's mostly a like self-imposed challenge thing. I'm very much a proponent of trying to do new things, and that was something that my then girlfriend, now wife, pushed me to, which I really appreciate. I finished the novel, but I have not actually done anything with it, like editing or anything, because I kind of feel like it was my first attempt, so it wasn't that great. But maybe I'll go back to it at some point. Ended up being too much like Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. Thank you, Vadoon. Yeah, the archivists sound very cool, and thank you for saying nice to my achievement from 9 years ago now. Crazy. We've got here, what other stuff we got? I like the archivists. The Boston Anathemum is over by the State House, so we've got this area here that can basically be their territory. 21st Amendment. Okay. I really like speakeasies, so anytime I see something that has an amendment thing associated with it, like it's a speakeasy, I'm very like going to that. Yeah, 9 years is madness. I've recently turned 35, which is just crazy to me now. I'm I'm getting old. My body is deciding to download the patches that are going to end up destroying my back. Ah, man. In any case, I have my little map here where I can like do some drawings. And awesome, House Bathright is going to be right next to this little chunk, which is going to have the 41. Congrats. Next year, you're going to be 42. Life, the universe, and everything will be exposed to you, revealed, as it were. So we had the primals. I didn't add the layer for sorcerers. How's this one coming across? This one's coming across very fine. My Google Maps is something I really like to do. It is makes me feel good to be able to make a little map. Eh, wait a minute. Did I not connect them? There we go. Okay. I feel the older you get, the more you realize how little you know. Yes, that is very true. I did get a. Uh, oh, this is a line. This isn't a thing. How did I add shapes? I did shapes before. I think every sort of as a person, as you grow older, well, actually not even as you grow older, like throughout our lives we are always like being shown like philosophical things that sort of help us determine what type of life we want to lead. And I would say that if you are someone who sees like, oh yeah, like us, there's always aesop's about being like knowing that you know nothing, and that has been a running thing for throughout life. And it's not about like not trusting that you're an expert in something. It's more of just trusting um that you don't know everything in the world, and that you can learn to be a little bit like more accepting of other people's beliefs. At least that's what I think. However, there's some beliefs that can be kind of hard to reconcile. So we have dead primal sorcerers, dead primal sorcerers, hungry. House Batherite needs to be under the hungry. Uh, I always like putting the Prudential Center as like, so my Chronicles of Darkness campaign. I put the Prudential Center building, which is one of the taller buildings in Boston, as the headquarters of the vampires. So putting House Batherite there, or putting the heirs there, is kind of like not the best in my opinion. I could do is the heirs are kind of like upper crust individuals, and I always feel like there's a financial district to Boston somewhere in here. I always forget where. Financial district, Boston. That's in the waterfront. It's over in this area. Post Office Square. Okay. We can put the heirs there. Old State House and around this area here. Okay. Trying to get my bearings because I know the Old State House is somewhere here. Post Office Square, Boston City Hall. Okay, yeah, that's it. So this is where the Old State House is. One of the landmarks of Boston. Heirs should probably have a big territory because they're kind of old money-ish. I do appreciate everyone who shows up to these streams because I never really considered doing these all the time because I'm oh undo. They can be sometimes you don't know when something like this is gonna work, something like this isn't gonna do much, and I just don't have a lot of time in my life. I always think, oh yeah, this is gonna be the next this project is gonna be this day, this project's gonna be that day, and then you find out, oh, I have to be doing this now, or there's that I need to be doing. Okay, so we have the heirs, we have the house battery. Should be able to move that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we need the outcasts to have some territory. We did this before. I think we decided that they would be one of these harbors. I think it was over here. Munificents are going to be here. I think legal seafood is over here too, which is good. I like legal seafood. I'm a little purpley. And then I think they were good for the stuff that we already have. Yeah, casino bump lunch. Legend of League of the Hidden Crossroads. Legends of the Hidden Crossroads. Can do famous crossroads Boston. Oh, there's a place called Crossroads Irish Pub that is permanently closed in the Back Bay. You know, that's a good area. Not Back Bay. Is it Back Bay? Yeah, it's Back Bay. Newberry Street is a street that is very known for its, well, one comic book store, but also, yeah, here it is, Newberry Street. But also, it's for like a bunch of like highly expensive shopping areas. Badoon, I appreciate your insights into your Chronicle building. I am enjoying building out a fictional city for my first Chronicles campaign, so it's good material. Awesome. Crossroads is a very good pub name, and actually, I've used Crossroads Pub for a bunch of my games for quite a while now. Usually for my Chronicles of Darkness games, uh, it is a Demon the Descent pub. Crossroads HQ pub and leader. You have to also consider with Curseborne that everyone's considered family for the most part, except for like I think the Zeds who are the dead. Yeah, and with that, like Zeds are consider themselves more to be co-workers. And I forget if I might have skipped over it, but yeah, the planning out a chronicle is something that a lot of people like to do, and the world world building part can be very daunting sometimes. Like I like to like think about where various groups would be in cities I've lived in or lived near. And I lived in Boston for quite a bit, but I was like not really in the center of Boston. I wasn't going to bars every night. I was kind of off in the like boony area of Boston. It's kind of funny. The you could see. I wonder how many people actually can live in Boston and work in it because it's a very expensive place to live. I can't imagine anyone like actually being able to live here and work at like the public library or something. I am making a bad polygon cancel. This is the crossroad territory. I'll give them a nice little chunk here. Nice demony color. That maybe like a yellow. Every time I look at Newberry Street, I'm like, there is someone who has grabbed Newberry Street for like some benefit. And I would have done the Bathorites for this because I always feel like they're more fashionable and stuff. Like it has to be someone with style and grace. What are the various groups we've got left? We got the Mavens could work. We've got the Blackhearts, Setics, Scariots, Ferrari. Battleground Angels, no. The Sphinx are all about knowledge similar to the Archivist, so I think I might put the Sphinx at the Boston Public Library. Here's the Boston Public Library. That's Central Boston Public Library. That's where we need to put it. I guess this block here of Boylston and Stewart Street would probably be a good one. Yeah, here we go, Boston Public Library. Go back to the primals, make a little mappy thingy here, and go. Let's give them a little bit more territory. They deserve a little bit of niceness. Give them Boston Marriott too. This as the Sphinx. I need to plan to go into Boston a little bit more. I like I like traveling around there and having adventures, as it were. Yeah. Maybe the premiere. The Unburden are your sort of homeless sorcerers, as it were. They don't have um, personal possessions. They actually burn objects that they pick up and stuff. There is a meme I did of someone being like, "Oh, you're an unburdened. Where do you keep all your stuff?" And it's like, "Well, I keep all my stuff in this bag." And then the person's like, "Well, no, you don't," and burns the bag for a unburdened spell. I've been listening through Matthew Dawkinson's overviews of the various families in Curseborne, and I really enjoy listening to them. But it's a very the way they've set up the mythology or lore of Curseborne. It's very up in the air as to like how different families interact and things. So it's not all set in stone. It's not like there's a feud between various families. You can sort of interpret feuds between families, like the Gaki eat ghosts, and the dead are ghosts, so it's unlikely that they'll interact well with each other. Um, who did I want to look at? The Premier. The Premier, I think, might actually be a good. Yeah, they're an unbroken line. They're old money, so maybe not as good. They're an unbroken line of sorcerers. Um, they give up their they have a lot of responsibility because they give up their time and stuff for casting spells. Um, so there's probably an older area of Boston that they could be in. But yeah, I've been listening to Matthew Dawkins talk about the various different groups of families, and I always felt like I'd love to visit Boston at some point too. Would love to do Providence too. Providence is really fun. Depends on which Providence you're talking about. There's P Town, which is somewhere out here ish. I've never been, but I hear it's a great LGBT plus area in the Boston area. And then there's Providence, Rhode Island, which is also cool, which is all the way down here. About an hour and a half drive, I think, maybe 2 hours, depending on which part of Boston you're in and what time of day. But the highly recommend it. Uh, Providence, Rhode Island has a uh, setting the river on fire event that happens, which is very nice. But yeah, going back, there is this thing of like very like narrative discussions of the various different groups in Curseborne. I would say I think my favorite discussions would be probably something along the lines of like there's this history with this family of trying to find out who our patron is, but we're not sure. Like the Bathorites, we link ourselves to this person here, but we're not sure if she was our actual progenitor or not, but she's still around, so we get to talk to her, and she might be our progenitor. It can feel a little bit undefined, but it is defined in certain ways. But also, like you're trying to balance the whole thing of there's the stereotype of the family, but then there's also this whole thing of like how the family actually is. Okay, this area is a very nice part of Boston called Coolidge Corner. There are some upscale homes in that area, and I think that might be where we could put the premiere. Yeah, about here ish. Problem is with Boston is like there's always an area that is kind of upscale. I did do Instacart for a little bit, and you kind of were like in this area there were like a lot of like a lot of apartments that were kind of hiding, as it were. They were like, oh yeah, you can be here, but um you have to like you need someone to ring down or have like a doorman let you in and stuff, and it doesn't look like a place that would have a doorman. It is watching Matthew Dawkins's Curseborne videos is highly something I highly recommend. It doesn't give you much as in the way of what I tend to prefer with my games, which is like my overview videos, which is um a more of the what you call it the gameplay overview, but it does give you the narrative overview, which is very important. And of course, I accidentally put them in the primals, so I gotta switch that so that they're down in the sorcerers. This is the problem you have when you have a new game that's coming out. Like it's building up the knowledge base of the players so that they can determine what is and what isn't like aesthetic to the game line, I guess. Like I like the idea that the House Bathorites are a family of vampires that looks like acts very ostentatious, but take people from the lower rungs of society. But I do like the idea that you can take the idea of the family itself and do branches within the family that interact differently. It's not that every person behaves the same way, but is there are different upbringings people are used to. Um, like for instance, the Zeds are like a corporation, but maybe they have various different satellite branches and campuses or whatever of their business that act differently around undead. In fact, let's go to um, those guys in particular, the Zeds. There's families. These Zeds. We are the end of all things. They're akin to cleaners or assassins. I think I remember people saying they're embrace fatalism. They're corporates. You're not a member. You're an employee. We don't do parties. We meet in offices and hold court in boardrooms. We discuss matters among each other. During off hours, we gather in less formal settings to discuss other matters. It helps to express what you've seen or been through. It's not therapy, however, Zed doesn't cover these costs. We do appreciate a party if someone else is throwing one, but not while on the clock. Damn, they're not doing office parties. They call us Reapers. It's a nickname the Mavens came up with that stuck. We call each other by professional titles. We use our magic as a tool for our arsenal of killing. We prefer mundane weapons such as guns and garrots, but magic has its uses. The company prohibits possessing mortals, but you'll find Zeds who do it in a pinch. Just don't tell HR. And then it's like, you're an emotionless assassin trying to find a purpose beyond killing, help mortals and goes satisfy their last wishes, and wield a gun to hit and use it to hit a company mandated quota. This is just a brief overview. I'm not going into details about them, but they do sound like some sort of business where I remember startups tend to be around the Cambridge area. Oh, Kendall Square was where a bunch of startups were. I went to a thing about um about what you calls it. Yeah, there's some businesses here that are pretty like startup-y. Yes, I remember. I was at a Python meetup group in Kendall Square area, and I like walked to the. I parked at the movie theater because it was like the cheapest parking in the area or the most reliable parking in the area. Like walked 5 blocks. Crazy. Delete that polygon because they did it wrong. But we'll select the deads and we'll put their territory as around here, and it'll have the public library in it. Of course, I want their color to be black, but they're right next to another black territory. Who's this? This is the 8 hands, isn't it? Yeah, that's the 8 hands. So black on black. Maybe they have some issues going on around here. Incidentally, Zadoon, I am programming the Discord dice bot for Onyx Path Publishing in Python because I prefer it over JavaScript. I am a crazy individual for doing this stuff in any case. Not going to get this stream into a programming conversation, but like it is fun to be able to write a program for a company that I enjoy their content and the stuff that they do. suppose their outreach to an extent. They're very they talk to the community a lot, so I'm very happy about that. If you're a fan of Onyx Path stuff, I highly recommend checking out their Monday meeting notes. It's just sort of like it's where they talk about all their new releases and things. This stream isn't funded by them or anything. I just if they do well, my channel does well indirectly. Nice. I've only started looking at JavaScript as I'm building report web output. Yes, that must be awesome. I tell anyone there was someone who's doing a there's a program called Foundry for uh, running games. I know a few people who use it. I think one of my favorite ones that people use is I used it for Alien RPG, like Alien versus Predator type RPG, and it was good. It's a good program. Problem is the hosting for it, because you're like hosting on your own computer or you have a server to do it. It can be a bit difficult. I really want the Reeves, who are like the life sorcerers, to have their own territory in like a forest. And I know a lot of the areas around here. Where's West Roxbury? The Roslindale area of Boston has an area called the Arnold Arboretum. JP. Okay, JP. Arnold Arboretum is somewhere around here. There it is. Yeah, Onyx Path is very pro LGBT plus, which is awesome. I have a lot of friends who are LGBTQ. All the ones not covered are under the plus, but the I have a lot of friends in that group, and I hate what's going on in the current climate of the United States. It feels like I've been helping people get through it. Yeah, Roll20 works a lot better for most games, in my opinion, than the than Foundry. Just because you can use it free. I think you might be able to use Foundry free. I'm not too sure, but it's all about how much investment time you're willing to put in. There we go. That's where the Reeves are. Arnold Arboretum. You can do some gardening over there. Um, so I've been just like tossing things out here. Sphinx are in the Boston Public Library queue. Maybe they have a head librarian as well as their leader. Reeves. Here. It's always tough taking places from the real world and putting them in um, a game. If I were to like publish a product like this and have it be like, oh yeah, this building is actually owned by a group of sorcerers, Like that building might actually be privately owned by like the library that an anathema. Yeah, for the archivists, I think it was. Yeah, the Boston Athenaeum is owned by a private company. It's a private library. So if I say in my book, "Oh yeah, these people own it and are sorcerers," oh, I might get sent a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, can you change that? Change the name maybe to avoid copyright and just say it's a private library." Okay. Arnold Arboretum as the HQ. What is it? It's not liminal spaces. Is there's a thing places of deferment, but they got changed. I think the term got changed. If I look in the compiled thing, loopholes. Loopholes are locations that are neutral territory. I should have that covered somewhere around here. It's crazy that we're already at 45 minutes into this stream. I like doing this stuff just because I like to have people around while I'm chatting about games and things. I some of the primals I'm gonna have a real hard time deciding where they go, specifically the raptors and the lichens, just because they're like a little bit harder for me to pinpoint in that regard. I like the idea of the spawn of Vodnik living in Boston Harbor, specifically the Harbor Islands. We have a lot of this stuff here, so we can. This is like, is that the Cape? No, the Cape's down here. That's it. It's not Providence. It's Providence Town. That's P Town. And there's like a ferry that goes from here to there. But if I make their territory all of this for the spawn of Vodnik, like yes, it looks big, but it's actually like only a handful of islands. But I don't know. Spawn of Vodnik. We'll put them out here. Of course, as soon as I click, I'm doing the wrong one. I've been to a couple of these islands, not a lot of them though. Let's just do. You know what? I can do this area. Spanavodnik. It's like a crab claw here. A little hard to see, maybe, but that's a nice area for that. Get of Lake, maybe the Franklin Park Zoo area, Forest Hills. don't get me wrong, I like streaming on Onyx Pass Twitch channel. I do wish that um actually there's nothing really wrong to say about working on there. I like doing it. I just wish I could do more. But it's just all about the scheduling stuff. So I can do more on my own channel, and then I can, if people want to go over there and check stuff out. It's all good. Dorktales does it all the time. I like. I always like orange for werewolves. I don't know, like like our werewolves. Spana Vodnik are like water creatures. Um, say Castle Island. It's there. Leica is going to be the Franklin part. I'm currently not much of a Twitch watcher, not sure why really, only so much time to spare. Yeah, that's fair. Twitch does tend to be a bit of a time sink in a lot of cases. I don't know what it is. I like having like YouTube open doing stuff, but I don't like uh having Twitch open for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's just a preference thing maybe. But also I'm very picky about which streams I watch. I'm not going to be watching Critical Role just because I'm not a D&D person. I would probably let my players know that this is like the general makeup of the territory. That's the thing. When you're dealing with something like this, where your players may, there's a lot of in-universe information that players should have. I feel, especially in Curseborne, every accursed knows that there's other accursed out there. In Chronicles of Darkness, it was very hard to have a masquerade with other groups that also had a masquerade. So for instance, like vampires not knowing that werewolves exist or not knowing that mages exist always seemed a little bit confusing to me if you try to parse it out. Because of course vampires are going to butt heads with other supernatural groups. There are a lot of vampires, and there are a lot of mages, and there are a lot of changelings and werewolves. They might not know exactly who they are, but if you're going to have some sort of territorial disputes over things, you're going to need to know like where the other groups are. You're going to need to know, hey, we don't go here because last time we did, a group of werewolves came up to us and said, hey, this is our territory, stay out. Or there's like the smell of something in the air as you're like, oh yeah, clearly there's a predator in this area. We've got in trying to think in Curseborne, it's like you have these various families, liminalities, the sort of supernatural locations that people use as like currency and things in this world. Like, hey, we want this territory because this liminality is cool to study, is very much a thing. So like you're gonna lock down that territory as best as you can. And yeah, I do think like gang looking at like gang politics in the real world might be able to help out in a way but I feel like there's definitely something else about it. In this current day and age, if your gang's territory is like Newberry Street or something, I don't. There's no way in my mind that you're going to be able to hold that territory. Um, like maybe you own a shop there, or like there are a couple of shops on that spot that you are strong arming, but like the you can't stop people from other gangs going down Newberry Street because it's such a public location. Same thing with Coolidge Corner. Same thing with the Fenway Park. Like I don't know how that is a viable thing. I guess gang colors is the thing. Like if you go to a bar, a lot of places will say don't flash gang colors and things of that nature. But um, it does. It's a weird thing. I do think everyone should know generally where the location of the families are. They might not know the headquarters, but they definitely know the territories as an overview. There is kind of like I'm going to use the unburdened, put the unburdened in Jamaica Plain. They are the sorcerers who are your like they don't like worldly possessions and things. Just because JP is a very it's a very interesting area. There were a lot of homeless people there when I lived near there. But also it has a huge LGBT population. It is very it is a very like gentrified but also not gentrified area in some ways. You are the on er, territory. They're not the type to own territory, so it's kind of like, yeah, we just sort of hang here. Actually, I like having colors mean something, but like I don't know, I brown just sort of jumps out. Unburdened though, I always imagine like a gray hoodie, but gray wouldn't come across. I don't. There's definitely parts of Boston that people think of as a lot different than they are currently. Um, Somerville used to be known as Slumaville, and because it was like all like rowdy, rundown houses and buildings and things, but it's actually now quite gentrified. Good and a bad thing. Really, what you need is money to flow into an area and raise people up, but typically that's not how it happens in the world, sadly. It mostly just replaces people, pushes them out into the outer areas. Let's see what else we got here. The Raptors still don't have territory. The Chimera, Battleground Angels, Nephilim. Battleground Angels, I know exactly where I'm going to put them because I really like this um, idea. Old North Church in Boston. This is a historic location. It is the church Paul Revere, I think, put the lanterns in. Um, that yeah, that'll be where we put the Battleground Angels. It is also an Episcopal church, which my family would probably like. My parents might like. So, Battleground Angels. Delete. Episcopal Church, another Anglican church for the people in the UK out there. So we got here the Battleground Angels. Their whole deal is fighting in battlegrounds, so their territory might not actually be like this completely all the time, but it works for the moment. So we've done Unburdened. We did the premiere. We did the network. Chimera. Oh, we haven't done a lot of the Hungry. Mm. Or the Dead. What's the most haunted place in Boston? King's Chapel Burial Ground. This is near the Athenaeum, I believe. Yep. Okay, we'll put it around here. There are a lot of burial grounds in Boston. It's actually a big deal, I imagine. Um, yeah, we'll put the Gaki there. So this is the old State House here, which is Faneuil Hall is somewhere around here too. So we put down here the Gaki, which I am getting the image of green in my head, which is the resurrectionists in Malifaux. There, they have ghosts in the game called the Gaki, which are fun to play. Little tiny ghosts. That's HQ. What other most haunted places are there in Boston? Mm. Ghost Hunters did a thing in the Quincy Harbor. Fort Warren. I've been to Fort Warren. Uh, really, I didn't. I don't remember them talking about the haunted hauntedness of Fort Warren. Where's Fort Warren? There it is. Poltergeists at Fort Warren sounds like a fun idea. Very far out there, though. It's like, yeah, we're never going to have any interaction with people because we're so far out there. But you know what? It's a protect. It's probably like a liminality or something there that they protect. What is it again? The poltergeists. I'm very much choosing locations that feel like they would be with certain groups, like just on a like guttural level, but also like I feel like there are definitely places that they would have like small territory throughout here. Maybe I could do something like a points of light or like points of interests that are. There's a very fat bird outside my window right now. It's like a robin redbreast, and it has like this huge red chest. It's just looking at me. Another game I've never played. 40k is my miniature habit. Yes, Malifaux is a very niche hobby to get into. I very much got into it at the height of its popularity, I think, with second edition. That's where you get second edition was popular, in my opinion, mostly because they funded a lot of stores at the time. People There were people called henchmen get uh who would get games running, like game nights running at stores and things. So it was very fun to get into tournaments and things. Though I did fall off of it with third edition, not because of any dislike of the game, but just because it was very difficult for me to find games once I moved out of the New Hampshire and northern Mass area of Massachusetts. There are places nearby where I live that are game stores, but I just don't go to them because I rather like running stuff online. I'm having fun doing the YouTube channel because I like meeting other YouTubers, and I've had a lot of fun games with Jess from Shoestring Studios and Rudy and Charlotte from Wards and Witchcraft, I believe. That's their channel. Double checking here on my other screen. Yeah, they do actual plays of Mage the Awakening, which is fun. I was in a couple of their games not too long ago, 5 months ago, actually. I think. Yeah. And then they're in the around the same. I can actually meet them up in person, which is nice. Trouble being a YouTuber is most of the popular YouTubers are all out in California because they're all failed actors or media personalities. I don't know what it is about California, but it just seems like there's a huge amount of people who've uh who are like doing the creative grind. Oh, something I'd plug about if you're ever visiting Boston, Alston area, very good Korean food out there. Love it. My wife and I just had some Korean barbecue out there, and it was lovely. Ah, man. Now I want to put like some monster in Alston. I don't know. We didn't give the Zeds territory, did we? Oh yeah, we did. We put them in Kendall Square as a as corporate startup. Okay, we have the Shades and the Wardens. Wardens, I just watched Matthew Dawkins' video on the Wardens where they're like overly protective of their charges. They're like guardian angels, but they will make sure that you're protected even if you don't want to be protected. So they're like this like clingy person. I'm trying to think where you would put that as far as like a group that are very overly protective. Could just put them in South End, that area. Northeastern University Museum of Fine Arts. This is a little bit of an area for that. That might just feel random though. Oh man, that's really tough. Oh yeah, we got a museum of ice cream, which is still something I find kind of crazy. Um, you know what? I'm just gonna put them in the south end. I don't really know where else to put them for the moment, but Wardens can go here. No problem, Vadoon. I actually forgot that it is 5:12. I was just so into this. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna have to sign off. Thank you so much for watching the channel. Please like, subscribe, do all the good stuff for it. I will try and be back here next week because it's something to do and I have fun doing it.